Hey, Dena here. Anytime I make these Oreo Truffles for people, they're always super impressed and want to know how I make them. But honestly, they only have 3 ingredients. They're a little time consuming, but extremely easy to make. They are also delicious, and I tend to make them a couple times a year, usually for New Year's Eve and Valentine's Day. Those are 2 holidays where my husband and I like to chill on the couch with finger food, like pigs in a blanket, for example, and watch a movie, so it's a perfect dessert for that. So let's get started. You will need, obviously, a package of Oreo cookies, just a regular 14-ounce package, an 8-ounce package of cream cheese. Try to let it get up to room temperature, it's going to be a pain to work with. And about 16 ounces or so of chocolate chips. I like to go with these 60% dark chocolate ones by Ghirardelli. I like to use good quality chocolate for this. I also like to use a food processor. You don't have to, but you'll see how it makes this recipe a lot quicker and easier. First, put all the Oreos in the food processor, if it's big enough. Otherwise, you can do it in batches. And then process until you basically have crumbs. If you don't have a food processor, you can put them in a Ziploc bag and bash them into crumbs with a rolling pin. Then you add the cream cheese. I cut it up into squares first so it would mix easier. Then you process it until it becomes a solid mass and it'll kind of seize up, or at least it does with my food processor. But that's fine, it's almost perfectly mixed by then. If I find any unmixed chunks of cream cheese, I'll just mix it in by hand. You'll see what I mean in a second. If you don't have a food processor, you'll have to mix it by hand, which is kind of a pain, but doable. After that, you're going to take the mixture and roll it into balls that are about a tablespoon or so, and put them on a baking tray lined with foil or parchment paper. This is where I'll mix in any unmixed chunks of cream cheese with my hands. Then you'll take the baking tray and stick it into the freezer for a couple hours. Then you're going to melt the chocolate in the microwave, and feel free to add oil to it if it seems a little too thick. I usually use coconut oil. Then you're just going to take those Oreo and cream cheese balls and dip each in the chocolate. I have never gotten the hang of doing this neatly like I've seen in other recipe videos, but if we're being honest, no one is going to care if they look perfect or not. Now they are totally fine like this, but I like to also melt some candy melts and drizzle it over back and forth with a fork. Make sure it's thin enough that you get those elegant little strands. I like how they make any dessert look classy and professional. After that, just stick them in the fridge or freezer until the chocolate sets and they're done. They look pretty just kind of piled on a plate. Also, oh my god, they taste amazing. They are super chocolatey but not overly sweet, which I kind of like despite normally having a pretty big sweet tooth. The chocolate forms almost a shell, and depending on how long they've been sitting out, the filling is soft and just coats the entire inside of your mouth as you eat it. Also, if you're a drinker, they go really well with ruby port. And now I'm sad because this footage is from like 2 years ago and I don't actually have any right now and I want some. So there you are. Let me know if you end up making these and I'll see you next time.